this is disgusting. Who in the world would eat this? And
Guys, made it.
Everybody was quiet. And then they all look at Joanna, and Joanna goes, I made those this morning for everyone.
In this episode, we're going to learn from the mistakes of the past and discuss how to share Jesus without being obnoxious. But before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the show, like this episode, and share it with a friend. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Live Change podcast. We're so excited to be here. We got a great topic here today. I'm joined by Jason Mitchell and Joanna Wishart, and my name is Chad Herman. And we're here talking about, faith, life, and we're going to specifically talk about sharing Jesus today. But before we do that, I have a really fun game. You guys want to play my game?
I don't know.
You don't really have a choice.
We'll see.
They do not know
I have
what
no clue
I
if I
have in
want to
these
play
cards.
your game.
You absolutely.
I probably don't want to play your game.
You absolutely want to play this game.
All right, let's see.
All right,
I've invented this game.
Okay.
From whole cloth.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to.
Yeah, this is making me more nervous by the moment.
No, this is so good. I'm so pleased with myself. Okay.
Right.
This is called rated or underrated.
You don't even know the name of your game.
I'm still working.
It's hot off the press.
I'm
Did you just
smithing.
make this up 30 seconds ago?
No, I have cards.
Oh,
I'm smithing a name, but right now I'm calling it underrated, overrated.
Okay.
I am going to give all of us an object or something, and we each have to chime in. Do we think it is underrated or
Let me guess.
overrated? Yeah,
I think I got it. The concept is in the name. Underrated or over. I like it.
you know something?
I like simple games.
It's a great game.
All right,
it's
let's
a great
see it.
game.
Let's hear it. I'm excited for these.
I can't wait to see what you've picked.
I think, I don't know what I'm going to name it yet, but I'm really excited. Okay, so Joanna and Jason, are you ready?
People could vote on what they should name it.
Well, if you have a good name for my game, that would be great. Put it in the comments. And the other thing is, I want you guys to play along. So if you're joining us and you have a seat here at the table with us, let us know in the comments what you think is underrated and overrated, what we're talking about. If you disagree with Joanna, let her know.
I disagree.
Yeah, exactly. I
don't even know what her first answer is. I disagree.
I have a feeling people are going to comment about how much they disagree with Joanna.
Can't wait.
So, all right. So, first card.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix. Underrated, overrated?
Are we allowed to say neutral?
No.
Oh.
You got to say it's either.
The game is underrated, overrated, not underrated, overrated, or neutral.
Or neutral.
You literally are questioning the rules of the game within the
say-
first 15 seconds.
I'd say overrated.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You?
I don't know that I have a feeling about Netflix.
I think it's
underrated.
underrated.
Game.
Underrated.
I think it's underrated. Okay.
Underrated.
I don't even know if I agree with myself. All right, next.
You just went with the crowd. You went with Chad on that.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Pressure. She felt pressure and she folded.
Underrated?
Well,
It's
overrated.
it's like the number one movie streaming platform. How can it be underrated?
I think Netflix has better content than a lot of streaming services. That's my point.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I would.
Better
I would agree with you on
original
that.
content. So, the British royal family, underrated, overrated?
Extraordinarily, unequivocally overrated. It's a family. I don't even know what I honestly don't know what they do. I don't think
I would say overrated.
You say
but
overrated
that doesn't
too?
mean that I don't enjoy following along.
they don't run the country, do they?
No.
Well,
No.
then what's the point? I don't understand. I really don't get it.
They are the definition of a figurehead.
Okay.
They represent leadership, but they are not themselves leadership.
So what's the big deal?
It's I don't know. It's like we have our own celebrity gossip. I don't know why we need to ship gossip over from
Yeah,
overseas.
we don't need that import.
Well, they do it in an accent.
Oh, that's why
So I
we
feel like
it.
people like that.
They do always seem classier.
Now I do like Benedict Cumberbatch in Sherlock Holmes.
Yes. Everything said in a British accent is just
so all right. They're underrated then. I'll go with y'all switch my opinion.
I'm just gonna say I want to hang out with Kate and William. I want to go out to dinner with them. I think that they would like me.
And I just want to say I don't know who that is. But I'm assuming that's the Queen.
No. Oh my.
Someday.
Well,
Someday.
Someday she will be.
TED Talks. Underrated, overrated?
Underrated.
Underrated.
And I wish I watched more of them.
Yeah.
Overrated.
I'm going to go overrated on this one. TED Talks
Yeah.
are overrated. I feel like everyone has a TED Talk now. I have a TED Talk.
Exactly. See, this is what I was getting at with Netflix thing. It's like it's so
saturated
that it loses thing.
Like everyone has a TED Talk now. Joanna, you can get a TED Talk. You just call them up.
Everyone has everything now.
That's very true.
It's true. You know what's not overrated? Podcasts.
That's true.
Completely
Let's start
underrated.
something called Ned Talks.
our own version.
Yeah.
All right.
It's actually 6-hour talks.
It's everything opposite.
On completely irrelevant content topics.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Have you guys seen the latest Ned Talk?
Yeah.
On the difference between walnut and oak?
Beekeeping. It's just
Now, that would be good.
just
like, wait a
dumb
second.
topics. All right.
Cross the line, Chad.
All right, what's next?
Target. Underrated, overrated. Careful. This is
Overrated, but I still love it.
my wife will have strong feelings about however we respond.
Yeah, I think it's overrated, but I still love it.
Jason?
I have no feelings.
I
It's a
think
store.
Target is
It's not no feelings game.
Yeah,
you have to
you're
have
right.
feelings.
You're right. What were you going to say, Chad? I'll probably go with you.
I think Target is underrated.
Underrated? Why though?
No,
I mean, I feel like they get plenty of attention and
that
hype.
is true. You know, like there is a level of fandom, and it is just. I'm going to change overrated. I do
All right,
think
I'll
it's
go with
overrated,
overrated.
but I love Target.
Right. It's okay for it to be
It's
overrated,
overrated.
and for you to love it.
Yeah.
Did you guys all say we all said overrated?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Like a super overrated.
Collecting shoes, shoe collections, sneakers.
Oh, you mean like sneakerheads?
Yeah, like
Okay.
collecting Air Jordans and stuff like that. Did I say that right? Air Jordans.
Yeah.
I think
Overrated.
that's overrated. But that's just because that's not my jam.
That's
So I
not-
can't necessarily relate to it.
I don't know how to answer that.
Do you think that?
Can you get a return on that investment?
Yes.
All right. Well, then I'd say
It's-
underrated.
It's bartered like.
Well, then I'd say
money.
underrated. I think
Yeah.
it's a good investment then.
Uh,
Jason said that shoes are a good investment. That's what's going to happen.
Put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
you know, taking over for Bitcoin is shoes.
Oh my gosh.
But it's not like, but I don't think it's the shoes I buy.
I don't
No,
think we're
right.
the
It's not
target audience. Like, I
Rockports.
don't think we're the target market for
Yeah.
shoes.
I don't
I've
think-
seen our shoes.
I have friends that are big sneakerheads, and
No.
they're not shopping at Kohl's for their
You're
shoes
not
like
going
I
to
am.
DSW. Be like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good $80 pair of shoes. I'm going to turn around for
Dude,
90.
But I've seen some of the shoes they collect. Some of them are
$10.
just ugly.
$10 profit.
Joanna's mules. See, I learned that from.
You just said you've seen some shoes that are ugly, and then you said Joanna's mules.
That was a Freudian slip.
that was
Rude.
unfortunate
That's
there was
because
a-
you. Yeah.
there was meant to be a period between
Hey,
those.
Chad, one time I walked into the communications office, and this is where Joanna works. This is so embarrassing for me. So I walk
love
in
it
there.
already.
I walk in there, and they got all this food laid out. And they had already eaten it, but it was kind of all laying out. So I pick up
So terrible.
this piece of bread, and I hold it up to everyone. There's like 20 people in the office.
So emphatic about
I was
it.
so, I don't know why I was so passionate. I go, this is disgusting. Who in the world would eat this? And
Guys, I made it.
everybody was quiet. And then they all look at Joanna, and Joanna goes, I made those this morning for everyone. And I've apologized. Haven't I?
all the time.
I still apologize. Like I felt so bad. I was like, well, I'm sure they're good. I'm sure they're great, actually.
No.
I was like banging it at one point. I was like, look, guys, it's a hammer.
When you reach those moments, this is just a public service announcement. Sometimes just go, yeah, I messed up.
Yeah, I think I do.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a good time.
You can't save yourself from that one.
I was very sorry.
I've never baked again.
I'm sure.
Please, I know how the Wishards like to culinary stuff. Farm to table. Speaking of farm to table,
Underrated.
I think that's overrated.
Oh man. All right, break the tie.
duke it out. Duke it out.
I think
Convince me.
I think the concept is really cool. I just think it's like an overrated thing, and then it becomes like way expensive for the sake of like being an overrated trendy
Well,
thing.
but he didn't say overpriced farm to table. He said farm to table. Like, so you think it's overrated to take food that's naturally grown from the land. You think that's overrated?
If that's your definition.
Every
of
food
farm to
you're
table.
eating.
Farm to table.
No, see, this is why I call
But
it.
you mean the concept of like farm to table.
I do.
Okay,
Like
so
the
you think the
trendiness of it.
concept of naturally grown foods on a farm to
Yeah, but farm to table has taken on like this thing of its own where it's like now you're at like fancy dinners
you're
at
talking about the
restaurants who
branding,
only do
the marketing of it.
Yeah.
I got
that
you
I
on
think
that.
is overrated.
I think it's gone too far. I think, and
What would you prefer? I'm just interested in what you'd prefer.
This is my point, is everything we eat is
Factory
farm
to
to
table?
table. Like, do you think they're manufacturing cows in a factory or something? It's all farm to table. It was on a farm, now it's on my table. Am I wrong?
I guess you're kind of right.
Like,
I guess you're kind of right.
I don't think they're making
you're
corn
right
in a
about that.
beaker. It was on a
Well,
farm.
I
It's
don't
just
know.
how many stops it went from the farm.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
I just mean the concept of farm, like the
The marketing of it all.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you on that.
Don't be mad at me if I got
Chad,
it
how
wrong.
long is this game?
Wait, one more minute. Oh man, there's so many good ones. Avocados.
Underrated.
underrated. I love avocados.
I could eat avocado.
No.
Let me tell you
both
about
of
a
you
great.
are wrong.
No, let me tell you about a great guacamole recipe that I just did like a week ago. I'm
you
not
need
joking.
to eat
I
it and
love
be like,
it.
this is gross.
It's like 5 ingredients, but some of it's going to surprise you. Obviously, avocados,
Mhm.
lime juice, right?
Not
Salt,
surprised. Not
right,
surprised.
right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Strawberries.
A little surprised.
you're
I'm a little
surprised.
surprised.
Strawberries, pecans.
Well, I don't like pecans.
That's not.
Then put your favorite.
That's not
you know-
guacamole.
I don't really
anymore.
like any kind of nuts.
All right, well,
You.
I
you
can't help you with that.
You made a weird fruit salad.
I thought
That's
you were
not
going to
It's
say
amazing.
mangoes.
It's amazing. I had it down in Alabama a couple weeks ago, actually.
All right, we're gonna leave on
I bet
the
you it
show
was at
notes.
a farm to table place.
Actually, kind of was.
Thank you,
Yeah.
farm to table.
It was weird. It cost $290 for my bowl.
I had to pick the strawberries myself.
There you have
Yeah,
it. So
exactly.
we're gonna leave
Oh,
in show notes
I don't like
Jason's recipe for his
What,
strawberry
strawberry
guacamole.
Yeah, put that recipe in there.
Yeah.
I just gave it to you. It's so easy.
Yeah,
And you guys will like it. You got to put pecans. So it's a little southern twist on it.
Oh,
Pecans.
There you go.
Better than
know.
boiled peanuts.
No. Boiled peanuts are amazing.
Not in guac.
Not in guac.
So we'll bring this game back.
That's a fun game.
So we here's why I wanted to play that game. When things are underrated or even when things are overrated, we get really excited to share about them. So like when I get stoked about something, I actually take it as a personal vendetta to tell people about it. Like when I go to a really good restaurant, I feel an incessant need to tell people about my experience at this restaurant. Like I just was talking about getting my hair cut, and I wanted to tell everyone, like, you got to go to this lady. She cuts my hair. She's amazing. And what we're talking about today seems to kind of fit in with that. We're talking about sharing Jesus. But there is nothing that is as critical to our faith that is also as fear-inducing in our faith, quite like sharing our faith with others. So today, we're just going to talk about it. I don't know why I had like a little accent there. Talk about it. We're gonna tackle this head on. We're gonna help people, hopefully all of us walk away a little bit more encouraged. So
what do you mean when you say sharing Jesus?
that's a good clarifier. So central to our faith is sharing the good news about what Jesus did for us in our lives. And so when I talk about sharing Jesus today, and when we're talking about sharing Jesus, it's about helping other people to be introduced to this faith in Jesus Christ, and hopefully have them experience the same life change.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Gotcha.
So first question I have for all of us is telling other people about Jesus and our faith and encouraging them to take part seems to be a bit unique to Christianity. Why is this sharing our faith and Christianity synonymous with each other? So like you don't see a lot of other faiths so aggressively or eagerly is probably a better way of saying it, going out and trying to, and I'm going to use this word lightly, convert people like Christianity. So why is it such a basic tenet of Christianity?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, I think honestly, it kind of stems back from a command in many ways that Jesus gave us, which was one of the last things that he said was to go into Matthew 28, to go into all the world and make disciples, baptizing them in the name of the Father, teaching them, who I am, and baptizing in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So, at the very most root sort of foundational level, it's our Savior, who we've placed our trust in, has told us there's more people that I want to know me, and I want you to tell them about me. I mean, that would be one of the starting points, at least I think.
And you think that's kind of unique to Christianity, is this call to share. And Christianity is like, no, this is too good. Actually, even the gospel.
The word gospel, good news, yeah.
It's like we want other people to hear about
It's news, that's right, to be told. Not a set of rules to be adhered by, not ethnic, sort of you're born into it, and so now you sort of have to live underneath the constraints of being born into it. I mean, so it's none of that. It's at the fundamental sort of nature of our faith is good news, and news is always meant to be shared, or else it's not news. It's your biography or something.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like even at the handful of times in the New Testament where Jesus had encounters with people and then basically told them to go tell others about that encounter, it was never about now go tell people how to live their life. The rules or the things you guys were just talking about, but it was more so go tell people what has happened here today, or what you've just experienced, or what maybe Jesus has done for them. So it's go share more about that than with people around you.
That's really good, because what makes that different is when we share anything we're excited about, we always share from our personal experience.
Yeah, totally. So it's more of the story aspect, not go share the religion. It was go share the story.
A good example is if I'm excited about Target, I'm not going to tell you there's this place called Target. I've never been there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be oh, I went there. This is what I experienced. And yet, I think sometimes we forget that sharing our faith is supposed to be the same way. It's telling the good news of what happened to us with others. So is telling other people, though, about Jesus critical to being a Christian? So here's a question. So if up to this point, and I've lived as a Christian, I love Jesus, and I've celebrated Jesus, transformation in my life, and he gave his life for me. But I haven't really shared. I haven't told any other people. I've kept it kind of to myself and my faith as a secret. Do I have to? Is that critical to my faith?
Well, I think it depends on the way you just use the word secret. Because there's something to me that's different around I'm actually keeping it and choosing not to tell anyone, versus maybe I actually don't know how, or I'm not comfortable doing that. So there might be a slight nuance around just even the word secret.
Yeah, but what do you think? Do you think that's isn't that a choice, though, to say I'm not comfortable doing it, or I don't feel equipped to do it? Isn't that still a choice because you choose not to be equipped?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I guess.
And maybe if it's the choice, whether it's on purpose, or it's just complacency sounds too strong of a word, but it's just I don't know how to wade into that, and I don't know how to do it. So it's almost you're more paralyzed potentially than you're just purposefully choosing not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think that's interesting where Joseph of Arimathea was called a secret disciple. And apparently he was following Jesus, and no one knew it. And so, but he was a disciple.
So
now this was before the resurrection and all that. And I'm assuming after that, some things started changing maybe for him and all that. But my point is, there's a process too. Some people may be just following Jesus. Some people may be and they don't really know how to talk about it, maybe, or they don't know or they're scared to talk about it a little bit because they don't know the cost that's going to bring or whatever.
And so for some people, that they hear that and they go oh, that's a little freeing to hear, maybe it's not, the mission critical right away. But is there something that happens to us when we overcome some of those fears, when we do develop a sense of I don't want to take this secret with me? it's too good. Jesus has changed my life too much. Is there something that happens to us as Christians when we start to share our faith?
Definitely. First of all, you're following through on the command of Jesus, and Jesus always blesses obedience. So, yes. I mean, so one is you'll experience, I think, blessing as a result of that. Two, you talking about your faith forces you again and again to relive the story of God's faithfulness to you. That's always valuable. And then it also helps you to articulate, it helps to strengthen it when you get questions about it too.
Yeah.
What about this? What about that? What about that? And if you don't have an answer, that's fine. But it drives you back to the scriptures, or it might drive you back to community, of other Christ followers to kind of go, hey, I got a question about, I don't really know. And that's a valuable thing.
Yeah.
So to me, you're obeying what Jesus Christ said to do, and he'll always bless obedience. You're strengthening your own convictions because it might get challenged, and that'll lead you back to why you believe the things you do. And third, it will remind you of God's goodness and faithfulness the more you tell his story of his goodness and faithfulness. These are all really good things.
So Joanna, I'm sorry, Jason.
I was just going to say though, but you said a question that was interesting a moment ago when you said, can you be a Christian and not share your faith, I think, or something. I think that was kind of one of the ways.
It was pretty strong, yeah.
Well, the answer is you can be a Christian, absolutely, because the way you become a Christian is you trust in the power of Jesus Christ to save you from your sins by faith and by grace alone. That's how you become a Christian, not because of anything you do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's because of you trust in everything Jesus Christ has done. Now the question becomes, how do you grow? How do you experience the fullness of life that Jesus has for you? You're already a Christian. And one of those ways is you go and you share that and you talk about it and all that. So to me, it's not a matter of, can you be a Christian? Absolutely. But you can be a Christian and still hang on to a lot of things that maybe aren't great for you, or you can choose to resist God's nudges to grow, and you stop growing. So you never, Paul talks about it in one of his letters as you never really move past the milk. Like it's all baby stuff.
Yeah.
And there's meat out there. So how do you get the meat? You do the things, you keep obeying what Jesus said to do, and you grow and you put down deep roots and all of that.
I love that. Joanna, so I happen to know you friend, are you're very open about sharing your faith in very different ways. Like like you're constantly inviting people. Your family is big on inviting people to church, and I know you are very involved in your community. And so I'm kind of curious, have you felt your faith grow or deepen or change in some way the more emboldened and the more you have kind of put yourself out there, and as LCBC likes to say, get out there. Mm-hmm. So the more you have gotten out there,
yeah,
has there been changes in you when you get out there?
Yeah, it's funny. Like what's interesting, I think, about the question or the topic even is like what constitutes as like telling someone about your faith. And I think that's probably what I'm wrestling with even in this question is like, I think a lot of sharing your faith is also like how you show up and how you like interact with others, or like, sometimes like at LCBC we'll say like, is your love easy to see? For me, and even like for my family, it's like, well, yeah, let's not miss opportunities to like for Finn to invite friends to like Easter, like at school or something like that. But for us, getting out is like, how are we just around people that like we're out of like the church bubble or like the building or, and actually like in our community around people who don't know Jesus. So then, I don't know, and maybe that's a cop out and like we can talk about that. But some of that, I think like I just want to be around those folks so that I can share like my personal story or just do life with others, that then it's just like one, like then you just like wait for the doors to open that like you're just doing life with them.
Mm-hmm.
So then like, I don't know, like when personal crises hit or when something you're like, hey, I'm really challenged by this. Can you process it with me? Like, then you already have some relationship that it's like,
there's equity there that you've kind of built up.
Totally.
And that makes sense because ultimately we want to share our faith. Like I get that we want to share our faith, but it does make sense that it's a journey. Mm-hmm. So like, it's not always words. Sometimes it's how we live, how we look differently, how how we care for others, it's all sharing our faith.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, my own study of like the Christian faith has discovered like ultimately Christianity was synonymous with care and love for others more than anything else for thousands of years. It was, how we loved others, how our love was visible that compelled people to become Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's directly in line with what Jesus said in John 13 when he said, they'll know you're my disciples by the way you love one another. That is the distinguishing, defining mark of Christianity. Now, here's the difference, though, and here's the interesting thing. There's a lot of people who love other people. So this is why Peter, I think, comes back in 1 Peter, I think it's chapter 3. It's in 1 Peter, though, and he says, always be ready, though. Like, live a distinctive life. Patience. So think about the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, patience, kindness, gentleness, peace. Live those fruits, and you will be distinctive in a world that isn't those things. And Peter says, but be ready to give a response.
That's so
when
good.
people ask you. That's the hope, is that it's such a provocative way of living. Kingdom way of living is counter, sometimes cultural, and that will make you stand out. And he says, always be ready to give a response with gentleness and humility.
Oh, I love that.
Respond in those ways. So sometimes it's just creating the relational equity to where when you get asked or when you can show up, now you've got to, and you're ready to give a response. So I don't think it's enough to just say, well, I just love people. There is, because again, we're all creating the image of God, and God's common grace means that everyone's capable of loving, not just Christians.
Yeah.
The distinctive mark then comes on the other side of that, of why we do that, why we wash feet and serve and all that, right? All of these things.
Yeah.
There is an element of then going and saying, I'll tell you why I do these things.
Love gets us an invitation to share Jesus.
Yeah,
But sometimes
the
we
door.
don't go to the party.
Yeah, it opens the door, and then there's that choice of, do we step in?
Yeah.
Like, it opens the door for a conversation.
But sometimes we're like, oh, the door's open, I'm going to walk past it. And
Going back to Joanna's point earlier, your point when you were saying, and sometimes that's because I just don't really know how to have those conversations. And sometimes it's, I'm afraid I'll lose the relationship if I have. I mean, like, there's all sorts of things maybe that kick in that keep us at that point.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit, even personally, like, that is really hard for me. Like, even the times that I've been able to talk about my faith with others, it's been because of a relationship or something that's happened in our own personal story, or someone, has just said, hey, how did you guys get through that thing? And it's like, oh my gosh, well, I can tell you, like, you know what I mean? Then that's much more natural. It personally, like, it is difficult for me to just be like, hey, like, come to church with me, or,
but that's
believe in Jesus, because like those moments, like, that is more challenging for me.
Oh, I see. But I think that saying come to church with me is, at least from my experience, is a little bit easier than let me figure out what to say to you now. Like, I've got to have the right words. I think that I still think the easiest way to introduce people to your faith, like to share in your faith, right? What you want people to understand about who Jesus is still to invite them to sit with you at church. I think that's biblical. I think what in John 4 with the woman at the well, remember, she has this encounter with Jesus and she goes back to the town. Jesus is still at the well. She walks the couple miles back to town and she says, you guys need to come with me. That's a come with me. Like, I don't have, but come with me. And then she actually says, could this be the Messiah? Like, I don't even have it all figured out yet, but I think Jesus is real. And I think so come with me. Yeah. That's, to me, like, that's the modern day equivalent of, I'm learning some things at this church, and hey, come sit with me. Come sit with me. If you want to know why, I don't know, I can't articulate it fully, but just come sit with me. Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. I just will be quick to admit that is like, those are palm sweaty kind of moments where you're like, okay, I'm going in. Like, this goes well. Like,
well, okay. So that actually, I
think it's hard sometimes.
Yeah. Because I think we're afraid of rejection.
Yeah, totally.
Every time I invite someone to church, I feel like I'm asking someone to prom, and I'm afraid they're going to say no.
Now, what?
Like, I feel like I should give my neighbor a corsage and be like, "Hey, you want to go to church? I'll get a limo."
But but why does it feel that way to you guys? Just invite to church. Because would you feel that way about, again, you mentioned the restaurant or the Target or something like that. Like you wouldn't feel that way about that. So why does it feel different to go, yeah, if you want to, I'd love for you to come sit with me.
I think it has to do with the fact that there is, I think it's probably some of the yuck that's gone into evangelism, which is a big word of basically saying share Jesus with others. There's some yuck that has happened over the last 100 years where people are like a little bit hesitant to engage with people that want to bring them to church or convert them. Or
I see. So the fear in some ways is like, oh, are they going to think I'm
weird,
late TV night preacher person for asking?
Or
them?
Sales pitchy, like a used car salesman that's selling Jesus and hawking Jesus. And it's like,
But I guess that's where the relationship makes up for that. If you've got a relationship with the person, because they would know you're not that person potentially. And
the best is when you live a life that it just shines Jesus.
Yeah,
they often sometimes they will sometimes come to you with the questions. Right. And so, but let's stay with that. And let's say, like, why is it that sometimes sharing Jesus with others feels like a sales pitch? Like, why does it feel like when we're inviting to church, it feels like a sales pitch? I compare it to when my daughter is in track and I'm selling subs for her because it's supposed to be her, but she's not. And so I'm shelling these subs out to people, and I'm asking friends and family, like, hey, do you want to buy some subs? They don't want to have to say no. They want to say no. They don't want a $7 sub from my daughter. But they feel like they should, and it feels guilty. And it's like, so I even hate to ask because it's going to be weird. Do you want to buy a sub? And I kind of wonder if that's how people feel about sharing Jesus. It feels very like, hey, you want to buy something?
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, I can see that.
Why is that? Why is...
I don't know.
How do we take the sales pitch out?
Because it's not up to you. I think it only feels like a sales pitch if you've got a commission to meet. You don't have a commission to meet. The reason it feels sales pitchy to you, Chad, because Olivia's got 19 subs. She has to meet this quota. Yeah. You have no quota. We have no quota. Yeah. We only have a calling. We have a calling to go and to share, and it's up to Jesus.
Oh, I like that.
It's up to Jesus to do the work. That's why the pressure's off.
Yeah, that's really good, because I do think that's what I was just going to say is, like, sometimes I feel like it's the pressure then we put on ourselves that it's like, oh man, eternity's at stake. Like I gotta get in there and make sure I invite them. And it's like, no, I just need to show up and do the inviting. And obviously, like, God has the rest. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he already knows how the
eternity
story ends.
is at stake.
Right.
But God cares for them way more than we do. And God is going to use the seeds that we plant and all that in their life or whatever to do something good. It's just not up to us to save them.
So what is up to us, though?
I think the invitation. I think it's the woman at the well. I think that what's up to us is come see. Come see. And that doesn't have to mean, by the way, bring into church. I think that's the best and easiest way to do it. Mm-hmm. But come see is come have dinner with me. I'll tell you more about it. Come have that. Or can I, you want to know that one of the easiest ways to start sharing your faith is ask someone, can I pray for you? Mm-hmm. Just do that.
Yeah.
And that has opened up conversations. I've done that before with people, like neighbors of mine who were going through a tough spot. And I prayed, God, show me some opportunities where I can bring you up and talk about it in a non sort of sales pitchy way, right? Cool. Chad, that you were talking about. And they went through something horrible. I was like, do you mind if I don't even know if you pray or not. And that's fine, but I do. Do you mind if I just pray with you real quick? I've never had someone say, absolutely not. I'm sure those people are out there. I've just never had someone say that. Yeah. And that leads to, thank you. I used to pray a lot now we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't, I used to pray a lot when I was a kid, and then my grandma used to take me to this church, and now we're actually in a spiritual conversation.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I don't know. Sometimes we don't have to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that every single person that we lead to Jesus or we invite to church is going to be our best friend, our neighbor. I mean, sometimes some people are quite gifted at sharing their faith with people, and they can do that on a street corner. I don't think that everyone is wired necessarily that way. And I do think that, but all of us, I feel like at some point are responsible to share the good news, and we're responsible for the action, not the outcome.
Yeah.
Is what I heard. Like the action is the invitation, the community, the care, the love. That's your responsibility. We can't dictate the action, because that's what frustrates us, is when it's like, I've invited, but they haven't come to church and I'm failing. And it's like, no, you were very faithful. You're not failing, you're faithful, and you invited, and you continue to invite.
And I'll remind people of this every now and then when they get, because I talk to a lot of people who are discouraged sometimes and frustrated that the people they love and they're praying for deeply they're not seeing a lot of responsiveness to these kinds of conversations or even invitations. And I'll just remind them, long before they ever come to church, you can bring church to them. Bring church to them, because every interaction they have with you, you are the representation of Jesus Christ in this world to them. So it's okay. Like, they may not come with you. You can bring it to them though. And that's how you show up in their life. That's how you, hopefully, you're living. And when you mess up, they need to see you say sorry. I mean, like, that's all evidence of the Spirit's working in your life. So I don't know. I mean, I think we overcomplicate it. That's the bottom line. I just think we overcomplicate it. And I try to find, if you look hard enough, there's common ground with everybody you interact with, that you have an end to talk about church or to talk about, and you can just read the signs, like whether or not they're kind of leaning in and open or they're not.
Yeah. Just
read the signs and go with it. But I mean, I don't know where I was getting my oil changed, and the guy, what was he wearing? He was, I don't know. Let's just say he was wearing a sweatshirt with a hoodie or something like that. And I'm paying to get my oil, whatever. And I was like, dude, our church just got some hoodies. Look just like that. I like that. Where'd you get it? Well, that was totally just my way of bringing up the word church. And I'm going to see, does he say anything? I'm going to see, does he, oh, that's cool. Your church has hoodies? What church is it? And so there's always a way to bring it up. And, but like about sweatshirts. So,
and I think sometimes God opens the door, and we have to be faithful to walk through. Sometimes we don't even create the doggone invitation. God does. So I was at a grocery store the other day, and someone actually approached me while I was checking out and asked, like, hey, I like the podcast. I'm enjoying the podcast. So they recognized me from the Live Change podcast. And I was really excited to say hi and, talk with them about it. And then the cashier was like, podcast? What's the podcast about? And all of a sudden, I was thrust into this invitation, open door moment where I'm like, and literally I do a podcast about Jesus, and I suddenly was like,
right.
What should I say here? And I started talking, and I was just like, God, I'm going to fumble through this, and Jesus, take the wheel anytime, but I'm going to go. And I started talking to her, and she starts talking about like, I would like that. She was like, I kid you not. She's like, I used to go to a church, and it's been a long time. And she's like, I'm just trying to get my life back together. And I'm like,
dude, ding, ding. I mean, it's like, there's an open door.
Yeah.
And that's a woman you never met?
No.
This is what happens when you just have your eyes open like that and are ready, and what Peter said, ready to give a response.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean a perfect one. That doesn't mean you won't fumble through it, but that's fine. All you did was got interested in her story, and she starts talking.
Yeah.
And you just start responding. It becomes, that's what I mean. It becomes so much easier at that point.
And I've been a pastor for 20 years, and I still didn't have a perfect conversation. It wasn't perfect. I wasn't like, well, I've been preparing for this. No, I literally was like, what? I don't know what I'm supposed to say here.
Yeah.
And yet, when it came time, the Holy Spirit, spoke through me, and I had the right words to say for the moment, and it was real, and we had a nice conversation. So, but let's talk about Joanna. You mentioned something about people that keep their faith a secret. Now, there's we live in a world.
I think you mentioned that, and I wanted you to clarify the word secret.
Secrets. Yeah. So Joanna, you didn't talk about secrets, but I did. The person, we live in a world. Okay, so we live in a world where it's considered rude or even offensive to tell someone else how they're living is wrong, and or to assume that you have any way to speak into their life. And so a lot of people don't share their faith because they feel like it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, no, that's my thing. And I'm not going to share it with other people because it's just a personal thing. Would you say there is a point where that's just keeping it a secret?
Where it's a point that I'm keeping it a secret by not telling people? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, basically is like, by saying, well, my faith is just a personal thing, I'm not going to share it with other people. Does that cross the line and become like, now you're just keeping it a secret?
Well, I feel like that's earlier, like Jason, what you were sharing, like that you're just missing out on getting more out of your faith by like having that posture. And so like, again, like that, I mean, that's a choice I think we can each make, but we might be missing out on having like a fuller or like a deeper faith by not sharing about your faith.
So you would challenge that person, but what about the person that says, I'm not comfortable?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I am flat out not comfortable. So like I have some friends in my life that aren't comfortable asking people if they want a piece of gum, let alone inviting them to church. And I have some friends that, are just afraid of that confrontation that could come or anything like that. So what would you say to the people that don't feel that they're equipped they're not outgoing enough? I just couldn't. I couldn't. And what would you say to the person that says, Jason, I just can't?
I'd probably say you can. I mean, by the power of the Holy Spirit, you can. And the disciples talked about this in the book of Acts when he's like, Jesus told them, he said, don't worry about what you're going to respond in that moment. The Holy Spirit will give you everything that you need. So you can. I understand the different personalities maybe are more comfortable in talking about things than others. This goes back to me. So what we usually mean when we say that is we're not comfortable trying to sell someone on something. Well, you don't need to. Well, I'm not comfortable telling them where they're wrong. You can share your faith from now until you die, never telling someone they're wrong about anything. You don't have to tell someone they're wrong about anything to share your faith. So like some of these are just misnomers about what it means to share your faith that I think maybe make us feel that way, that we probably need to put on the shelf a little bit. There's a way of sharing your faith without ever telling someone they're wrong about anything. There's a way to talk about it in a way that's, that's just sharing your story. Mm-hmm. So the other thing I would say though, is there's a difference between, you mentioned the whole, what did you say? The word, my faith is
personal.
Yeah, that's true. Jesus Christ brings us into a personal relationship with Christ. It's your decision. No one can make a decision about following Jesus for you. It's personal. It's not private. And those are two different things. Christianity is not a private faith. It's always done in the context of community. It's always lived publicly. Okay. And so when you look at Acts 2, it says that all the believers, they devoted themselves to participating in each other's lives, studying the scriptures, whatever. This is why when people are like, I got my personal relationship with God, I don't need the church. You don't know the Bible then. You certainly don't know the New Testament. You never see these two things separated. So faith in Jesus is something we do together. So it's personal, as in, we're tracking on that. So, but it's not a private thing. So I would just challenge and say, find the ways that are natural to share your story that have integrity for you, that are consistent with you. Not everybody's going to get up on a stage and preach and all that. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to follow the show, send today's episode to a friend, and leave a review. The Live Changed podcast is produced by LCBC Church. LCBC stands for Lives Changed by Christ. We are one church in multiple locations across Pennsylvania. For more information about LCBC, resources from this episode, and ways to grow in your relationship with Jesus, go to lcbcchurch.com.